going to spend some time trying to fix the issue that I'm having. Probably not gonna be able to solve, but I'm gonna try some things. Oh, I forgot about this. Can only debug with the uh, normal VS Code, not the Codium. I'll have to open there. Well, I still have the messages that I put here before. Actually, maybe it's better to debug the game version, so it goes directly to the application. Yes, this one. I think I'm gonna try this order here. So the first thing that I wanna see is if it is still if it is working from to set the directory from the file from the navbar navigation instead of the button there, because I don't remember if I did this or not. And I wanna see. I'm pretty sure that it is working with like smaller folders. So I think the first thing to test is to select a very small folder just to see what happens. I think this is something else that I changed from last time. I think I removed the icon sidebar icon because I was trying to see some things. I think that's I was trying to implement this maybe. So let me think about. If I put one breakpoint inside of here, yeah. So it is working. It's just gonna take a longest time to. So what I'm gonna do is just remove the cache here. So this file, based on the way that I did the file system doc, is gonna save the configurations on this file, and then it's gonna determine whether or not it's gonna show the previous folder opened based on whether or not it has the file. So I think it's basically this code here. So I try to load the configuration. If there is a file, it's going to if there is a file and there is a path, a previous root path, is going to create the. Oh, it's just gonna follow everything normally, I think. And if there isn't, then it creates a button. Now I don't remember, because I do remember I changed sometimes. I think yeah, I made it based on a variable. So before I was having a problem, because when it was showing the button, it was still showing the other elements, and then it was messing up the way that it showed up. So I think I made it based off a variable, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so has cached config, and that's the variable. So now it's gonna stop here because it is working, so it's not stuck there. So let's see if I implemented this. I'm gonna choose a folder that doesn't have many files. Yeah, so I didn't implement. I think that's the reason why I didn't. I'm trying to remember why I didn't implement the connection. I think like I remember doing this one time, and then I think I removed the functionality because I think that the problem was something related to the way based on the way that the Godot works is kind of annoying to connect. Like is the fundamental problem with the way that with the design of Godots and the way that I'm trying to do things. So the design is object oriented and is based on a way that you're incentivized to put everything inside of a node, which is the way that they do the editor node, which is the thing that shows up the editor scene. So they encapsulate everything on one node, and because they encapsulate everything on one node, they can connect the nodes. They can connect the nodes through signals. But if you are not gonna put if you're doing things the way that I'm trying to do, which is basically to create this thing from code, then I have to build the scene outside and I have to create the nodes. I create the nodes on one time and then I run them on another time. So because I'm creating the scene and then I'm caching the scene on a scene file. And then later on, I'm gonna open the scene from the editor. So basically, because of that, I have to create the nodes separately, and then I can have to connect them. And if I put everything, so like there is a direct relationship between the structure of the nodes and what shows up on the editor. So if you initialize nodes inside of other nodes, those nodes are not gonna show on the. They can show on the scene tree if you make the owner to be the same of the other nodes, because whether or not the nodes are saved into a scene is based off the owner, if they have an owner or not. But then the problem is, based on the way that I'm doing there, it's gonna put the nodes twice. If you initialize them inside of the constructor and you also put them, you also make the owner the same one. So the solution obviously is to separate them. So like I have to implement a functional, not really a functional paradigm, but like just incorporate functions and incorporate classes. So like each doc should be a class probably, but then I also need a certain amount of composition to like separate the different nodes so I can connect them outside to create the scene. But if I do that, then there's a problem because based on the way that they designed, like the signals are going to be the things that connect the different islands, which are the nodes. Like each node is responsible for managing its own part of the scene. So it's like kind of a is as if it is an element on a browser. But then that is the fundamental parts that is kind of annoying that to figure out what is the best way to go about doing this. I think this is the reason probably why I didn't implement yet, because it's gonna be like a fundamental problem. Because I'm always gonna have this problem. So the nav bar here, this element here, is being done through some node that I'm creating here, and then I'm going to like what happens here is, so I think that it is, yeah, it is this ID navbar class that I created, which is basically I just got from the editor node. I studied the way that they do it, that they do it, and then I created my own class there. So basically, this ID navbar is going to be the one that contains the options here. And when you select a folder, this class sends an event. It emits a signal. But then the issue is the class that has to respond to the signal is going to be the file system doc, which I'm creating outside of that. So that's the problem. I'm also going to have to remember why I commented out the icon sidebar stuff. I think it was because it was having some trying to incorporate something else, and then there was a like memory leak problem. Okay. Yeah, so it's basically gonna be this class here. I think I commented out. Yeah, so now as it is here, I think I like this is supposed to be the part, I think, that puts that creates the file system. Is this just a VBox? Oh no, it's this thing. Why is the name icon down? Oh, I think it's gonna be annoying. I don't remember exactly what was going on, but I think I changed a bunch of times here so I could like simplify things just to focus on the file system. It's kind of annoying because the problem with the other one was I had a problem with the scroll container, and because of this fundamental problem with the signals, I had to put or to figure out what is the best way to do the icon sidebar. So another class that I created that is going to be like the one that has the icons and does stuff based on where I click, and then I had to put the scroll container inside of that class. And I think because of that, I was trying to see some stuff, and then I basically changed the way that I'm initializing here. Yeah, because here I was doing scroll container, and then I decided to do inside of the icon sidebar. Yeah, so the question is like, what is the best way to? So I think I'm gonna focus on this stuff first. But it is another thing that I've actually spent a bunch of time thinking about. Like, what is the best way to connect both of them? I think I need to create a function. I don't remember if I did this already. I have to see, like, so what happens, what am I doing when the button is clicked there? I think it's gonna be load config. This thing here. So I think this is the button that I have there. Oh, this one. I'm just gonna call this thing. Oh no, so the class that emits the signal is this one. Yeah, so it's basically gonna call this function after. So what I can do is just copy this one, I think, and then just connect them outside there. So another thing that is important is if you want the signal to persist, the connection. So because I'm creating the scene off, kind of like offline, I'm not sure what is the best way to say this. But like I'm creating the scene on a different time that is going to run. So like I have to cache the signal connections. In order to do that, there is a flag that they provide on the signals, which is this connect persists here. So if you want the signal to be saved to the sync file so that it persists across execution times, you have to pass this flag here. So I think what I'm gonna do is, that's probably what I was doing here before, trying to do. Update a fast lock. I think I have to put this function there. So the reason why I'm doing like this, I think, is because of there's something weird with the callable, I think. So it's better to just pass. Or it's not because of the callable, it's because of the lifetime of the object and the reference. So if you use the callable MP, which is usually the macro that you use to connect signals, it doesn't work because I'm doing them like on a different time. So that connection is not safe if you use the macro. So if you want to basically save the, like create the scene in one time, like outside of from C++, then you have to use the normal callable, and then you can pass the reference to this thing here. So this was a different thing. So I have to connect the signal both with the. I guess that this is the part that was kind of annoying because I need to synchronize the icon sidebar with the file system dock when there is a signal from this. So I think this connection here was for the icon sidebar, not the file system dock. Yeah. So I need to create basically a copy and then put this function here probably. And this actually is probably not necessary, because this one is gonna change the state. No, actually, it should be this function. I want to do this later probably. So let's see. So now it shows there. So I'm gonna try a different folder. Based on the ChatGPT responses there, it should be. It's saying that the VS Code one is faster because they do some caching and lazy loading. But I think the caching doesn't make a lot of sense. Like it's not. It's probably not the reason why I have the problem there, because it should be just faster on the second time you load, not the first one. So I think it might be the lazy loading thing. So I think I should explore more on this. Because if ChatGPT is correct, then what is happening on VS Code is that they only load the visible folders, and then as you interact with the thing, it loads the other ones, I think. And it might be very complicated to implement this. It uses a blend of direct file access and optimized caching layer, allowing for a quick retrieval. But it is kind of weird though. I think that the biggest chance, like either ChatGPT is wrong, or the biggest chance is probably the lazy loading thing. The biggest difference. And I think there's something that it says like about electron. So I think it's an electron optimization. The biggest question here is either create a new folder, because I have to see, maybe the C++ folder is a good thing, like a good one to, because it's probably the one that I have the most stuff. So let's see if it loads this quickly. I should probably, so I think one thing that I can, that's probably a good idea to see with ChatGPT is, I'm gonna try to ask this, what would be best way to profile uh, the time or to so I think that it's probably a good idea. So I'm gonna put like a, let's see if they, because I do remember on some video on Godot that they talk about profiling. So I imagine that there is a function or a library or something like that that I can use to put on the function there to time how long it takes. Because I know for sure that is working. So I just need to see the time. And the other thing I can do is to, so I don't have to click here. What I could do is just call the function a bunch of times. I'm thinking about creating a loop or something on the file system doc class, and then instead of loading the thing, I just like I call this. So I have to see on the right down here uh, what exactly is happening after I click. So I'm basically gonna reproduce the thing that I'm doing there, which I think is basically just selecting the folder and then calling the function So I've just, it's probably calling the scan new directory with a new folder there. That's all that is happening. So I'm gonna create a while loop, and then on inside of the while loop, I get a bunch of. So probably I have to print the format of the directory first to see. I think it's loads. So after the button is pressed, gonna call this. This is for the. So it's gonna run this function. And I think this is gonna be the path. So I should put a console log here. I forgot how to. But I think they have a print line or something. And then you can use the percentage s for a string and pass the new current root path. So first I have to see what is the format of the path. Then I can, instead of calling the thing here, I'm going to, on the same place that I'm putting the thing, I'm thinking about just doing a while loop and then just doing the same thing that this function is doing. So it's setting the file system, the current root, then updating the current path on this one. And the problem that is that this calls the scan later. So, but I guess I can, it doesn't matter. So I can do it inside of the loop there. And then I see what happens. And then I have to think about how to use the dir access to loop over a directory. So I'm gonna loop over the code directory, and then for each folder I call this function, which is basically I set the roots and then call the scan, and then I benchmark each one to see how long it's taking for each directory. Before I do this, I'm going to I think I have to maybe create like two different variables and then subtract. I'm basically calling this, it's gonna call this function. So I need to put a variable here. Actually, it's probably better to put like right before it calls the function. So I'll put the thing here. I wanna see if ChatGPT is hallucinating or not. Sure. I wonder why it's not going there. But this probably works. I'm just gonna copy from this. So it's easier to do it. So here I'm gonna subtract and do the same thing that they are doing here. Actually, this string here. Like the thing that I most I wouldn't say that concern is the right word, but that I'm thinking about is that is because I'm not 100% sure if there is a problem or not. So like based on what I've seen, it seems to be working. So it might be the issue might be that it's just very slow. So if that's the case, then obviously what I have to do is figure out a way to make it faster, and probably the most obvious thing to try first is to figure out a way to like basically create extra steps to only load the beginning, like only load the current level, and then change the functionality so that, or I think the first step is like figure out when it starts to get very slow. Then from that part, put like a little bit more conservative to like as a threshold for how many directories you should load. So let's say for example at def 100 of like subfolders starts getting slow. Actually, it can't be just based on the def. It has to be based on the overall on the amount of files and folders. Let's say. Well, let's say at 100,000 folders and files starts getting slow. Then what I could do is like do just put a condition there on the schedule directory that once it hits the like 80,000 files, let's say, it just stops the function. So it basically just loads from that point. And then, but the tricky part would be that I would have to cache, because I would need to know to have a mechanism to know what that point is. Or I think that even better would be if I could figure out. So like the question would be, why isn't it? What is stopping the thread from like the other class from loading the? It's like progressively loading. I guess it's just lazy loading, the name. So like as the BM file system scans the directory, the other one could show the ones that were already scanned, and then there could be a progress bar or something. Like if that's the case, it is gonna be very hard and annoying to do it, but it could be like the other scenario is that there is something going on that it is making like there's something wrong with the code. So that's my concern, because I don't want to put a bunch of work before making sure that like there is that everything is correct and it's just very slow for whatever reason. Because the thing that is the most weird to me is that the VS Code loads very fast. And based on the code that I've seen last time, it seems that they are basically the same. Like it's very similar. The code should load. I think I'm pretty sure that the code that I saw last time is last stream. It is the code that VS Code uses to load, and it's basically just it's the same thing. It's just looping and then recursing to load each thing, and then every time that it does that, it creates a new class for the subdirectories. So I think that the biggest difference that would make the most sense for me is that Electron, or probably Electron, has some mechanism to lazy load so like loads the folders as the other class is creating them, let's say. Not sure if that makes sense though. Because the other optimization that ChatGPT talks about doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like it might make it faster, but it wouldn't be like the cause of the issue. So let me think about this. I think I have to stop there and then. Uh, I guess I can stop here and then just step over to see what is going on. I should probably, yeah, but I think before I do that, it's probably better to figure out what I need to figure out. Obviously, there is a range and then a threshold. So there, at some points, is going to become very slow, and for very small. So I need to find like what around which range of how many files or folders is going to start to get very slow to load. Because there shouldn't be that many files and folders on, and this is the thing that is making it very weird to me. Because like in my mind, it would have to be like millions of files on the directory to get slow. Because C++ is supposed to be very fast. So even if it takes some time to, I don't know the exact times, but it is kind of weird. So that's what is kind of. Maybe let me. I'm gonna do like another check first, and maybe I will step over. Because the easiest thing to do is to select different folders to see. But then obviously it's annoying because it might take a lot of time to figure out exactly at what range. So I think with code it might be easier. And then I could probably do this off stream then. So just build the function on stream and then I do the rest off stream. I'm thinking about creating the function. It's basically gonna be a loop, so I don't have to call there. Then I'm gonna put the breakpoint to see, make sure that the function is working. And then on the function, I just loop over the code directory that I have, and for each folder, I call the scanner directory, and then I see the time here, basically just print the time that is taking to execute the function. I mean, maybe I should put like right before and after. I think it doesn't matter that much. Actually, I forgot that I have to delete the thing. Oh, it didn't say because it didn't. Because I just stopped, so doesn't matter. So I would basically set the roots based on the loop that I am going to do on the directory. So I guess I can do it here at this point here, because that's what the first time that it scans on this. So here I would put like implement loop. and then I would put both there on the function, the benchmark, the print statement, and I would put something here as well. And that's gonna allow me to then once I have the times, and I can see if I can save the times on a file as well. I should probably the easiest thing to do would be just to save on a configuration. So they have a config, which is basically the thing you use to save the configurations of games and stuff like that, which is the thing that I'm already using on the load config and on the save config. Whereas I can just take the same code. So this is going to be a ref config file. And it's very easy. All I have to do is just create a variable with this, and then this class is basically going to have the functionality to set a dictionary and then to save that dictionary on a file that has .config extension. So what I can do is basically just create another file there, and then I create a section with the name of the folder, the name of the root directory, and the value, and the amount of time that it took for that folder. Then at the end I save the file. Then once I have all of that, I could do binary search through, but I think I would do manually binary search. So basically just get on the half, the folder on half, and then like basically for each one see how long it takes to open. Let's do this one. So this one's pretty fast. I'm gonna try a couple of them, and then if I can find any one that it takes, I need to find one that it takes some time but not that long, and then I can see the size of the folder. I think that once I find one, so the first thing to do is to find the range, so the spot where it starts to get slow. Then once I find that, then it's probably a good idea to just try with that folder and then just actually step over a bunch of times inside of the function to see if there is anything weird going on. The issue is that it's going to take a lot of time, but it doesn't matter that much. Because I need to have like very high degree of confidence that there's not something weird going on inside of the function before I try to implement this. Like, because it's gonna be very complicated, I think, to implement lazy loading. I'm gonna have to spend a bunch of time thinking about like how to. It might involve the threads, and then I'm gonna have to think on how to. Basically, I have to change the two different classes a lot, I think. But it might not be as hard as I'm thinking. But maybe if I put like if I find the range, then I put a condition inside of the scan function. Then I can. The question that I think is hard is how to make sure. Like is how to make the front end, let's say, load the files while the other stuff is executing, because I can use multiple threads, and Godot allows for this. So, but one of the threads continues executing even though the other one is still loading, and that's why it doesn't crash, let's say, the thing. So the question would be like, why isn't that thread loading the the folders. And I think it's because of condition there. It's because of the update tree, I think. So the question would be like how to make sure that how to progressively load the folders as the other one is updating the def. Let's see one that I have. I think on the code is probably gonna be let me see on the size here. So this should be and this one loaded really fast. Center files, 26 folders. We'll see the size of the code folder. Oh, it's a lot. There's thousands of files. I found one that's kind of I found one that is big. It's taking a long time. So I'll be right back. I selected a folder that I have there, and it didn't load so yet. And it's like it's not as large, I think, as the code directory. But I'm probably gonna implement the function anyway. So I think I'm gonna follow the steps that I was talking about there. So implement a while loop and then loop over the folders. As first, I'm gonna see if the print statement that I put there is working. So I'm gonna test to see if I'm getting the time correctly, and then I should probably test to save to a configuration file as well before. Then once I see that it works, then I can create a loop to loop over a bunch of folders, and then so I'm probably gonna do this on stream, and then once it gets to the point to run the function, then I stop streaming because it's gonna take a massive amount of time. So I'll be right back. So I think this folder loaded faster. It's a folder that I have a bunch of stuff on affiliate marketing. So I think loaded faster than. Yeah, so this is the other thing is that it takes a long time to quit because of the thread there. So let me see. I should put breakpoints on the. Forgot which name. What is the name of the thing? Breakpoint here. So I need to see the format of this. So I'm gonna close there. So what I'm gonna do is to I'm gonna see if the stuff that I put there is working. So I need to get the name of the or like the format of the. Actually, maybe I don't need. Yeah, I think I don't need to get this, but I'm gonna put anyway here because I'm going to copy from this. Like since I'm gonna loop over using the access, I don't need to know the exact name. I'm just gonna. Yeah, I have to see on the schedule directory if I gonna put breakpoint there. So basically here, to see if this is working. So what I need to do is to get this value. I should probably. hmm. I should probably put outside. So I'm not gonna do here. I need to make sure that. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do a nested loop, I think, because I need to make sure that the main thread stops. So because obviously I just want to see if this how this is gonna work. So I'm gonna see if it is getting the correct value here. Then I'm gonna do the same thing that I'm doing here, but I'm gonna do it from outside. And then on the config file, I'm gonna save the root dir. So the root dir is gonna be the key. There's another thing I have to see. So based on the way that I'm doing on the other one, if it's going to. How I'm saving. So I think the first one is. I have to see how they look on the. The first one is the section, and then after that's the key value pair. Yeah, so this is gonna be like the name of the folder, and then the other value is the amount of time. So I'm just gonna run with a small folder. The problem is it might, but it doesn't matter because just want to see if the value is gonna be correct. So check the value first and copy this stuff here. And then, actually, now that I think about it, it's better to just to do the code now. Just see if it's gonna work. Just save. So I'm just gonna put some random values there. Oh, this is where I'm thinking about that. So I need need to know the values that matter. It's gonna be this one. So I'm gonna do it with the current path first. Actually, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna put a random string there. No, I'm just gonna put a random string. And then here I'm gonna put the number. So I'm gonna copy the way that they have it there. The way that I put here. I'm gonna put while loop. Should take some time. I wonder if I can do it like this. Actually, sure. I'm just gonna copy the calculation. I'll select a name for this. I wanna see how it's gonna save. But that's basically what I'm gonna do. So I'll put a timer. Put a timer before. So here instead of the loop, obviously I would loop. I'm going to loop over all the directories that I have there on the codes, I think, folder. Then for each one I save on the file. I guess I can put the values there to see. I can do binary search after. I can put the value all the values on a vector. Then do, but it would be more annoying because I have to create a map between vector of maps. Yeah, I could create a map, then put I create a map with the values and then a vector with the values. But if the values are the same, then it's gonna be one. I guess it's not that many folders that I have there, and I'm just gonna do one level, so it doesn't matter anyway. I can look at it manually instead of spending time thinking about how to save the one in the middle and the lowest. The lowest and the highest obviously is a lot easier, but you should figure out the one in the middle. Choose. I'm thinking whether or not it's worth it to spend time trying to create an algorithm that, but it's not gonna. I don't see a way to do this because like there is no way to code. Actually, there is if I look into the other. So the question is like the relationship between the threads. How does it work? Because obviously even though there's multiple threads executing, the the code on the file system doc is being halted by the threads that is being executed on the scan.new directory. So like it's only and I think it's because of it is because of the signal. That's why. So maybe this is an easier way to do this. So like on the scan.new directory, it's gonna set. I think it's based on the variable. After you finish this, it's probably because of the variable actually. So after it finishes, this is gonna set this to false, and then on the process of this class here is going to, yeah, is based on the variable here. So because the thread is started and is gonna be false, then becomes true, and then this thing here sets the signal or emits the signal, which is file system changed. And because of the signal, the file system doc is going to call this function here. So this makes me think that what I should do, like it's still not, it wouldn't be very good, but it would be better, obviously. Like what I could do is just, like I said, like figure out the threshold. Then once it gets close to the threshold where it starts to get slow, I just emit the signal inside of the scan directory function, so that this other class loads, like the incomplete version, and then. But the question is, it would be like how to make it then progressively load, and the other question would be whether or not this would be bad because like it would restart the state once it's finished. So let's say you load in the beginning, then the person starts moving the directory or doing other stuff, but then you finish and the new signal is emitted. Like, would it reset the state of the folder instead of maintaining the new one? And this is based on the way that they created or the way that they set the states of which directory is open or not. And I think it's based on this class here. So like it depends on the way that I'm doing now is based both on the cache and on the functionality that they have here. It's just basically they have a get uncollapsed paths at this function here. Then based on this one, they're gonna. Yeah, but I think I changed this as well, because now I'm doing based on a variable that I have there. But it's gonna be basically the same thing or a similar thing. Like I would have to change the way that I'm doing the variable here so that yeah, I'm doing based on this uncollapsed keys, I think. Yeah, so I would have to update this variable each time, but I guess I can do it on the function there. So I could call get uncollapsed first, then update the value of this, and then call the function. I think I changed this because I wanted to make it based on the cache. So when it's loading, it's gonna update the value from the configuration. So when it saves the configuration, it's gonna save the last all the last collapse paths that I had. But I can do the same thing there. Just call get uncollapse and then update this value before emitting or when on the function that is gonna run after the signal is emitted, because that way it wouldn't change the state. But I'm not really sure if it's like a very good solution. So I have to study more on lazy loading, I think. Just see, 'cause it's probably gonna be. I know for sure that there's a lot of maybe not a lot, but I do remember seeing a bunch of stuff about lazy loading when it comes to the front end. Because on JavaScript you have dynamic imports. Dynamic imports I think are related to lazy loading because it waits until you have to use the imports or something like that. And because of Next.js as well, I think there's a lot of stuff like that. I think Quick as well. One of the main differences on Quick is that it has this. It loads the things depending on when you interact with them, as far as I remember. So I think that's the main difference that it had, and like it serializes everything based on JSON, and then it loads the HTML, and then as you interact with the page, it renders or it loads the JavaScript. So it doesn't load all the JavaScript right away. And I think it's basically the name is hydration. I think hydration is putting the functionality on the page. So the main difference between the paradigms is going to be like this nuance of when to hydrate each thing, I think. And this is related to lazy loading because it's basically the same principle. And obviously on the infinite scroll and stuff like that, it's also lazy loading. So, but for C++, I don't remember. I don't think I ever searched for this on C++. So we're probably gonna use Perplexity to see if I can figure out like the main paradigms and how to think about this. It's still gonna be annoying because Godot probably doesn't have stuff related to this, so I'm gonna have to translate. Because it is extremely different to program on Godot and program on normal C++ because of the way that like in Godot it feels a lot more like programming on higher level languages because they already designed the main classes like string and stuff like that, string hash map, and you don't need to like there's very little templates as well because the classes that have templates they already designed, which is basically the variant and some other classes. So it's very different to program in C++ outside of Godot. But the main point here is like so the main question that I have now is what is the best way to clarify? Because I need to make sure that the issue is that it's very slow because it is very weird to me. So I should research more about the time. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. I guess I can put the timer on the function as well. So I can put like the tick there that I did on the outside of scan new directory. I can put inside of the function, and then for each file I can benchmark the file. I do remember there is a, I'm gonna ask Perplexity as well. There is a video on about Godot. I think it's one of the people, the tech lead or something on Godot that they talk about profiling. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think there is a video related to this. I remember seeing stuff related to profiling. You can use a Chrome page or something like that. But this was for another course that is outside of Godot. But I do remember you can use that. Like I think there is a special library or something. Like you like put the functions on the library, and then it generates a file, and then there's something on Chrome that's built in on Chrome. I think it's a built-in path that Chrome has that you can just put the file there, and then it's gonna show the time. But I'm pretty sure that there are videos on Godot as well. So probably what I should do is research more on this profiling thing. And then I should, because what I'm thinking about doing is obviously is like getting the values, and then if it is easy, I'm not like if it is possible to do in an easy way to put on Chrome, because obviously I don't want to spend that much time on this now. But if it is easy to see the graph, it would be better to see the graph for understanding the ranges. And I'm gonna ask this stuff to clarify around how long it should take to load a file to see. The problem is I need a contrast to see. So I guess like this is the way that is the easiest way to see if there is something wrong or not. It's like I need something to contrast with. Like what should I expect to how fast should it be to load the file, and how much is taking. I, I think I need to do that first. The other question that is kind of hard to answer is like because it might be loading as fast as it has to, but the structure might be off. So that's the problem. So I guess I can do something on Python. I can do a script like separately, and then I can just check. So I can cache both ways and then check. I think that's probably a good idea. Like on the function there on C++, like the same function that is gonna update the tree, I can save the paths to a file, and then I can on Python I open the file. There is a way to save on JSON here. I think it's like a class that they have as well, which is similar to the config file, but it's for saving JSON formats. Then I can save the paths on JSON. Then from Python, I create a script that goes over the directory and then compares with so loads all the directories from the. But it would the annoying thing is that it would take a lot of time, and I'm not really sure if it's worth it to do this. So I'm trying to think about like the best way possible to make sure that, because I do think that I don't know, it is kind of weird that it's very slow, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to be. If it is a problem, it should be a problem with the structure, but I don't see why it would be a problem with that, because on the other folders it is working. And I did load some folders that are distantly. I guess the easiest way is just to manually compare. So like I wait for a long time to open a very large folder, and then I just go over manually side by side on the actual folder on the documents, for example, and then compare with the application. I think that's probably a lot easier than to spend a bunch of time creating scripts and stuff like that. But I think that's unlikely that it is a problem. It's just weird that it's taking a long time. So it might be, the main difference might be the lazy loading thing. So I'm gonna have to figure this out. Yeah, but now I can think of like I do have a clear path at least to be able to improve this. So the key is gonna be like the so I think like the first thing is the range to see when it starts getting very slow. Then the second thing would be the heuristics of what you do as it approaches that gap, and uh, how to make sure that I can synchronize so I can have the two different threads, and one thread is still loading the state of all the folders, and then like as the thread loads the state, it emits a signal, and the other one already like shows. So basically render as it loads the state, and how to make sure that it doesn't mess up the functionality or anything like that. So I'm gonna open a new VS Code to see, because I do think that it is extremely fast to open the file, open the folder. This is the thing that like is making, yeah, it loads right away and you can open everything. So some of them is kind of slow, but I think it doesn't take long to. That's the thing that is very weird to me. Like, it's the main thing that is making me think that there's something else going on that is kind of weird. Because like I can open everything right away on VS Code. I'm gonna ask to ChatGPT if there's a way to open all the folders to see if it can open everything. I do think that there is a way to collapse everything, but I forgot. I'm gonna run this. Sure. I'm gonna put a breakpoint here. I'm gonna run to see if it saves the file. So the other thing I'm gonna do is write down how many files it has. I'm gonna use the code directory as the main thing, benchmark of a very large folder. Because the thing that doesn't make sense is that if it is a few milliseconds per file, then like even if there is millions of files, shouldn't be shouldn't take as long as it is taking. I'm gonna put this is the first one. I'm not really sure if it is because of this function. How do I put this section? Oh, it's instantiates. It must be instantiates. If it's not instantiates, then it's just the save config, no? Or has config. Yeah, now it worked. Yeah. So the formats on this on the debug console is kind of weird, but I do think it's working. It's not. Doesn't have the. Also, it's because it's empty. But so what I should do now is just loop over there and then call scan. So I'm just gonna do that, and I'm going to. Let's see if it worked. It did save the thing there. So I'm just gonna copy the code that I have, or the code on scanU directory that loops over a folder, and then I'm going to copy that. So the code, yeah, there is a lot of files. The code has like 2 million, but even in this size here, I don't think that's it should take a lot. So it basically has these values here. How many seconds is the problem with math, I can't ask ChatGPT. I'm just gonna ask the. Is 1,000? Yeah. So let's divide 20,000 by 20. 250. So it should load 50 files a second, according to ChatGPT. Large files. Let's say it's 1,000 files a second. Yeah, maybe it is a lot. Yeah. So if it's 1,000, yeah, it would take 2,000 seconds. Yeah, so it is actually a lot. It would take 47 minutes to load everything. So the only explanation that makes sense is the lazy loading for the VS Code. And it is working here, so it is saving. So we're just gonna delete. So I'm gonna copy the code on this file system scan user. Just to make sure I'm gonna follow the execution from the scan. I'm gonna call the scan function just to make sure that like it's basically the same thing, because this one is the one that initializes the thread, and then this one is gonna call scan file system. Then this one is gonna get the path based on the current directory. So this is the one that I need in the beginning. Puts this there. I'm gonna do before everything. Actually, it has to be after. So let me think first. So it's gonna be here. I think I have to. It would make. Actually, I do have. I think on the other configuration that I have there, it is gonna save the path. So like I need to save the path to see what format to put the code path, because the beginning path is gonna be like I'm gonna put there manually, so it's gonna be this one. Instead of putting here, I'm gonna put like the path to the codes. But I have to see what format should I put this. So I'm gonna put the path there to the code directory. And then from here, just copy the functionality here. And this is the one that's yeah, I don't need all of this because for each one I'm gonna call this function. Yeah, I think the DA is gonna be the downer. Just a sec, yeah. It's the D. I'm not 100% sure if this gets. I'm just gonna. It's easier to just run and then test to see what happens. But I think that the like inside of the access class, this one is gonna keep track of the list. So like I don't need to change this value here and keep track of the directories. I think this one's gonna do this. So this is gonna the app is gonna be the current thing. And then here is the place that I put the. So I basically. So I have to put this. I need to copy from the other function there. So the other thing is when to call. Maybe. So I should do just the way that they do it here as well. So this condition probably is going to be the thing that's. So I don't need this other stuff. I think when it hits the end there, it's just gonna break here. Because there isn't gonna be anything. So that's the reason why they did it like that, I think. And I should put this as well. I'm just gonna put this where to delete this later. I'm gonna try to copy to put the initial like, path as the one that I get from the Explorer navigation. So so after excuse. I'm not trying to do it without the thing first. And if like doesn't work, I have to think about how can I wait until the scan is finished before running the other one, because otherwise it's not gonna save all of them. Maybe I put while file system is scanning. Yeah, probably the best thing to do. Or the easiest thing to do. So I think that this is gonna probably work. So I'm just gonna start with on the code directory, then I loop over each subfolder. If it is a directory, then let me. So this is gonna be the name of the folder. So if it is a directory, I set the root should on the file system should be the current subfolder, and then I scan, which is basically the same thing that I'm doing there. The thing that is supposed to happen usually. Then I put this while loop to wait for the thread to finish the scan. Then I get the time, which is gonna be the initial time minus the other. Yeah. And then I load on the configuration on this file here, or set the value based on the name of the folder and the amount of time. And then at the end, I save the file. So this should allow me to have on this file here all the time that it takes to load each one. I'm gonna see if this works. But the problem is, like, I'm not gonna be able to know because it's gonna take a long ass time to go over all of them. But just wanna see if it's gonna break before it gets there. And then I'm probably gonna stop streaming. Like, this is the first thing that I have to do, is have an idea of how long it's taking for each one. Then after I figure this out, I can probably gonna try stuff manually first to see like at what point exactly is is a noticeable wait. Then once I know that number, I'm probably gonna go manually. Once I know the number, I'm going to debug with that example. So let's say is one folder inside of codes, or let's say that it is a folder that has like I don't know 100,000 files or something. I'm gonna use that folder as an example, and then I'm going to manually step over on this kind of directory, and spend a bunch of time going over a bunch of files to see. Actually, I think it's better to wait until the folder loads and then do the thing that I talked about. So like go over from this thing here and with the application on the side to see if the structure is correct of all the files and folders. Then once I'm sure that it is correct, then I'm gonna know that is not the structure, and it should be just like problem. It's just something that takes long. Then I have to spend a bunch of time studying. stuff too. It does feel very weird that it takes a lot of time. I don't think there are videos on Visual Studio Code that talk about this. So I'm not like, even though I saw the code there already, I'm not gonna be 100% sure if maybe I can search for, I can try to see like Electron folder cache or something like this. I need to find search terms. I should probably put like this. Yeah, but this is very weird because now it's going very fast. So I'm not really sure if I did something wrong. This is a problem. Why is this? Hmm. I'm gonna have to change this again. Like, I need to make sure that it's going to wait for each scan to loop over, obviously, otherwise defeats the point. I think I'm gonna stop streaming now, and I'm going to figure like the only thing that I'm gonna do now is just to figure out how to make it wait to for the scan to be over for each folder. Yeah, and then I'm gonna have an idea of the time, and I still like I need to figure out a way to make sure that because like I don't know, it is very weird to me that it shouldn't take that long to according to ChatGPT there, the time, and according to the number of files, like if I do the math, then it should take a long time. But I'm not 100% sure if that's correct or not. So yeah, I think that the thing to clarify more, if I can, is why is VS Code loading a lot faster? And that's the main thing that's kind of annoying me. But I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna be able to fully clarify this. It would be better to have that very clear because then I'm gonna know like what direction is most likely to be the correct one to change the code there. But if I can't clarify that, then I'm just gonna follow the plan that I have, which is just to figure out how to implement lazy loading on the Godot one that I have there. So like it's just gonna load folders. I think I can make it based on the DAF, let's say. I'm gonna probably change the functions there. Change the function so that's based on the DAF and the amount of files and folders. It sends the signal to the other class so that it loads everything before it's completely loaded, and then see if I can change the functionality to make sure that it's not gonna break when person interacts with the folder. That's what I have to. I think I should spend more time first making sure that what I like the way that I'm thinking about it is correct, or like there isn't anything weird going on. I need to spend more time making sure that. So I think that this path is probably the best for now. Figure out what is the threshold where it starts to take a long time. Use that as an example, then compare manually with the folder to see if the structure is correct. Then step over on that example to see if there's anything weird going on, and maybe benchmark the exact amount of time for each file. Yep. So puts the benchmark on the OS timer inside of the scanner directory as well. That's probably a good idea. That's gonna allow me to have an idea of how long it's taking to load each file. I think that's probably the best thing to do, because then I don't need to speculate. I can just do the math. So I get the time for that it takes to load each file. Then see. Yeah, that's probably actually a lot easier, because that makes a lot more sense now that I think about it. So that's probably what I'm gonna do, because then I can just take. I don't need to cache anything, so I can just do the math and then see. So that's probably what I'm gonna. I just realized this actually. So what I'm gonna do is just put get the same thing that I'm doing here with the timer. I'm gonna put this inside of the scanner directory folder. Scanner directory function. Then I'm gonna try to get how much time it takes to load each file. And then I just do the math to see in minutes how long it's gonna take. Then I experiment to see if it is correct or not. I'm manually going through the folders there to get one that's so let's say it loads 1,000 files. I guess it depends on it doesn't need to be perfect though, but it's gonna depend on the size of the file obviously. But it doesn't need to be perfect. So just have an idea. But let's say it loads 500 files in 1 second. I can just do the math to get a number of files that's gonna take like around 5 minutes or something, and then I can put it on the clock to see if it is, yeah. That's probably better. So I'm gonna stop streaming now. That's what I'm gonna do. Put the timer inside of this function to see the files. The thing though is that it's not. But I don't think it's gonna be that much more time for the other stuff. The question is where to put the timer to see how long it's taking. Because like if I put inside of here, it's not gonna allow me to, because there are other stuff going on. It should be very fast as well. Yeah, but I think that if I put like here, because this is where like it pushes each file on here, then it's gonna call recursively there inside of the function. So if I put like a timer here, and I just like I have like a global counter, let's say. Then for each file, I just increase the counter, and then I just get the time at the end. I think that's a reasonable. It's not gonna be that much different, I think. So it's gonna allow me to have an idea. Then after I'm very confident that it is because it's just a slow thing to do, then obviously I need to clarify why, what optimizations are actually happening on VS Code to be able to load And I think it's probably gonna be lazy loading. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. So this is another thing that I can see. I'm gonna search for whether or not, or is it possible to uncollapse all the folders? Because if it is possible to uncollapse everything at the same time, I'm gonna see if it's gonna crash. If I have a very large folder and yeah. So I'm gonna research more this, and probably the next streams that I do, I'm just gonna focus on this until I figure out a way to load the thing faster. That's the main thing that I wanna do now. So see you then.